Hey, how's it going, guys? The Guitar Gamer here with another lap guide for you this week. We are going to be at Motorsport Arena, Oschersleben, I think. Forgive me if I butchered the name. I'm not really familiar with the names for a lot of these tracks. Um, so what I like to do is put out a lap guide for people like myself. Like I'm mainly an oval racer, but I can put down, a decent enough lap time to be competitive in, pretty solid splits. Um, with this one, I was the fastest car in the practice lobby. Most practices I've been in to where I've managed to get this time. So I know you can be competitive with this. If you're a beginner and you can match this, you're going to be doing really good. Last time I was here, I think I ran 3 or 4 races and I was on podium just about every race, and I think I won 2 of them. So we're going to come across the line here on the build up on the outlap. We're coming across the line at 95 mile per hour. So this access road here is going to be my first reference point. And once I cross that, I'm going to 10% brake, 9%. And then as I hit the apex, you can see I drop it down to 5, but I'm holding that brake. And then as soon as I come off of the rumble strip here, I'm going all the way up to my peak pressure, which is going to be 65. Oops, sorry about that. So you want to make sure the key with this, with turn 1 and 2 here, the key to this section right here is going to be light hands. If you're death gripping the wheel here, you are going to spin out 9 times out of 10. So you need to be light hands on the wheel, and basically you need to let the car correct itself. So when you're under straight line braking by having loose hands, you allow the car to basically adjust itself on the track surface. So make sure you're doing that here in this section. It's going to be really important. You can see there are a lot of another really important thing as well is by having light hands. You see what my wheel does here? I want you to watch this. See that back and forth? That's not me doing that. That's the car itself. I just have light hands, and then the car is basically trying to, it's the wheel, the force feedback is trying to center itself. It's trying to straighten out the car. So that's why you want to have the loose hands. So up to 63, 65, start trailing it off. And then I finish my trail off at about this red sign here. And you can shift down to first here. I just found second to work for me. But just as I pass that section here with the red flag, I'm right on the throttle up to about 70%, down to 60, and then just before, about a car length before the end of this curb here, I'm 100% throttle. And I didn't cover the downshifts. I apologize about that. So I come across this. As soon as I do my initial braking, you can see here, I'm not even at full peak pressure, and I'm already shifting down to third. And then second is just before the curbing. So going into 3, this light stand here is going to be my braking reference, and you can see the shadow on the track. So straight away I'm up to about 60%, and I start trailing it off immediately down to about 8, 7, 3, and then once I cross this, about a car length, I'm off the brakes and I start building up on the throttle. As for the downshifts, I'm still in third here, so as soon as I brake, I'm down to second. You can see there a lot of neutral steer. About midway in the corner, you're going to be at about 40% on the throttle, 30, 40. And you can see there, once I feel like the car has the grip, that's when I'm up to 100%. Second gear. So I use this between the third and fourth cone for my turn in here. So this time I use the third. Still full throttle, and then just before this, I do a big lift, and then I'm right back up to 100% throttle, and then I'm back off of that, just barely touching the brakes. So I'm just holding 5% brakes from. So lift, back on the throttle, lift again, just a split second on the throttle, and then lift again, and then you'll watch here as I hit that 5% on the brakes, I hold it for a second, and then about a car length before I get to the curbing here, I release the brake, and I start building up the throttle once I get the car straightened out. So after that trail off, see, I did just barely touch the throttle just to give me a little more momentum through the apex of this one. And then we're full throttle again once I feel like the car is straightened up enough and I can make this cut into 6 and 7. So you're going to keep your left wheel here as close to this sausage curb as possible. And then as soon as we're on the brakes, you can see I get to about 68%, and I'm already shifting down to second, taking advantage of that engine braking for the extra rotation. So 68, then we're immediately trailing it off, down to 40, down to 10, down to 2. Just the tiny little bit of brake really does help to rotate the car. So you can see as soon as I trail off, I'm immediately starting to build up on my throttle. So 35%. Didn't feel like it was there yet, so I dropped it down. And here we are. I felt it starting to grip up, so I go up to 80, 95 to 100. So we're shifting from third down to second here. As soon as we hit the brakes, bam, we're shifting down. It's going to be a long curve here, so this is going to be a long corner, so you have to be patient with your throttle, and because if you don't, it's going to be really easy to go wide here. You'll feel like you've got plenty of space, and then before you know it, you're in the grass. I could have pushed a little more there, but so make sure you shift to third before 8, and we're going to line this, the midpoint of this sausage curb, we're going to line it up with the midpoint on our wheel. We're going to hop over it. Make sure you keep light hands here when you land, because if you're gripping the steering wheel and you put even a little bit of angle in it, you're going to spin the car out. So loose hands, really important. You're going to land, get as close to this as you can, but do not hit it, because if you hit it, it's an off track. As soon as we come off of that, as soon as we come off of the curve there, we're on the brakes, 15%, down to 4. And you can see here, we're on the throttle right at the apex, right before the apex, so about the midpoint of this sausage curb. A little before that. So building up the throttle here, this first white section. So 30%. Another important thing here for this one is when I hit the brake, I do just a tiny stab on the throttle, which allows me to shift down into second. but you can also take this into third. But if you try to shift in second, a lot of times it won't if you don't give it a little bit of throttle, just a little blip of throttle. I didn't have to do much there at all, like 5%. So going into 11 here, I use these tire marks on the track. You can see as soon as I cross over them, up to 70%. Trail it off down to 5, 9, 5, 1, and then we're immediately right at the apex of the curb there. Again, as soon as I hit my peak pressure, I'm shifting down to third, and then right at the midpoint of this sausage curb, 38%, and then 100% throttle. Little lift here at the access road, and turn, and then I'm immediately right back on the throttle. Okay, I use this here for my reference going into 13. Very minimal, like 10% brake. Just enough to get the car a little bit extra rotation. And then we're right back on the throttle before the apex. Okay, and the track limits are really lenient here, so I try to get a bit of an angle coming in right here. And as I cross that white line, as I cross this white line, that's going to be my braking reference. Up to 63%, immediate downshift, trail it off, down to 20, down to 5, a little more, overcooked that one a little bit. You really, realistically on this one, you want to be on the throttle right here, but you can see I overcooked it, had to put in a little bit of extra brake. Never, if you do overshoot it, an important thing is to never add more steering, because if you're already understeering, adding more steering wheel is not going to do anything, because once those wheels turn, and you keep adding steering, those wheels are turned so much, they're just like a cheese grater. They're basically just sliding against the road. So that's why you see me adding just a little bit of brake here to compensate for overshooting the corner. So that's going to bring it to the line for a 139.631. So now I'll play the full lap and shut up and let you watch it. And there you have it, guys. If you have any questions, just reach out and let me know. I always do my best to answer them. Race-wise, I would dial it back just a little bit. So if I ran a 139.6 during the race, I'm probably going to run a 139.8 or a 139.9, just just to preserve the tires, not overheat the tires. Because for qualifying lap, doing this for a qualifying lap, it doesn't really matter. But in the race, you want to dial it back just a little bit. So anyhow, thanks for watching. If this helped, just leave a like and subscribe. And you guys have a great day. Thanks.